Kenya is home to some of the most diverse and beautiful wildlife in the world. But unfortunately, also some of the most endangered. Can a technology like artificial intelligence really help save these majestic creatures? One team of scientists thinks so. I'm Arjun Dutt, and this is IMAI.
I'm in Kenya for the Great Grevys Rally. We're using people driving around all over the country to count Grevys zebras. 98% of them are in Kenya. They're highly critically endangered.
We've got conservation managers working with county government officials, pastoral livestock owners, and the middle class from Nairobi, all converging, being given their cameras, given the maps of the areas that are patrolled, and then for 2 days they go out and they snap as many pictures as they can.
The right side is preferable, but if you only can get the left, that's fine. Take as many pictures as you can.
And as the number of herds of cows, sheep, and goats have increased, the people have dominated the landscape and have pushed the Grevys zebra into more marginal grazing habitat, but they've also kept them away from water during the daytime, which means it gets more predictable when they drink at night for the lions to eat them, and it also means they can't get water during the day to cool and evaporate to keep their body temperatures normal. And so as a consequence, the Grevys zebra was starting to be outcompeted by the livestock. In order to understand the dynamics of populations, you actually have to follow the fate of individuals. So in order to study individuals, you have to recognize every individual, and that's where Wildbook comes in.
Wildbook is a software platform which allows us to use computer vision and artificial intelligence to identify down to individual animals. Not only zebra, giraffe, turtle, or whale, but Zippy the zebra, and Terry the turtle, and Willie the whale.
To most people, one zebra looks like another. So how does Wildbook help the scientists tell them apart?
Each zebra is uniquely marked by its natural barcode, and the algorithms that the computer scientists have developed is they can look at the pixels and the local neighborhood of pixel change, the rate of change between the black and the gray and the white identifies hotspots on the animal. And once we get a map of those hotspots on each individual, we can then compare any new image against the images in the archive. And that allows us to determine whether it's an animal we've seen before, who's been named, or whether it's a new animal that gets a new name. If it's an animal we've seen before, then we have a historical record. Where was it? Who was it with? We can do social network analysis. And what was it doing? We have the metadata from the picture or from the ecological measurements. You got 100,000 images of zebras. How do you even start to ask, is this zebra in any one of those pictures in our archive?
From the 2016 Great Grevys Rally, about 200 people were taking pictures. And we got 40,000 images of zebras. This time, we have more than 700 people driving around taking pictures. We expect over 200,000 pictures of zebras.
That's an amazing amount of photos. I wondered, how do they sort through them all and then identify individual animals? Each image is processed through a series of convolutional neural networks and matching algorithms. The first network determines whether there are any animals of interest, in this case, zebras. The next set of networks localize each animal in its own subregion and classify the species. At this point, background segmentation is performed on the subregion to generate a rough mask of the zebra. Once this is done, key points are extracted from the zebra and feature descriptors are built. These descriptors serve as a sort of fingerprint that can be compared for similarity against previously identified individual animals in a large database. The scores from this comparison allow the system to decide which animals are the most likely matches. When the match has high enough confidence, it's accepted immediately. Matches that have lower confidence are shown to a human expert, who then makes the final decision.
The problem of finding animals in hundreds of thousands of images and classifying their species, that is a deep learning problem. The identification of individual animal is in some way orthogonal to this. Training any deep learning model takes a long time. With GPU, We can reduce it from hours to minutes. Deploying the model without GPUs, it can take seconds per image, which is too long. When you're talking about hundreds of thousands of images, with GPUs, we're down to milliseconds.
Once all this data is collected and processed, how is it used to help the Grevys zebras?
Were there any other personal cameras?
Once we have our census estimate, the first thing a policymaker is going to want to know is, well, how accurate is that number? If it is consistent, then they'll invest resources to maybe protect the corridor so the animals can get from food to water. They may be able to work with pastoralists to leave areas fallow so that the Grevys zebras can fatten and the babies can survive.
Given that these species are mostly found in conservancies, I think this would be very helpful for us as an organization to get to know the statistics, and then that will help us engage more with the government to show them whether these species are declining or they are growing, and help us to come up with a strategy on how we can conserve these species.
Wildbook is clearly a great tool for helping the Grevys zebras with their distinct individual markings. But can it be used for other endangered animals?
Our current technology can be used to identify any striped, spotted, wrinkled, or notched species. There are animals that we would like to be able to identify, that we would like to count and track non-invasively. One of them is the savanna elephant. If we do not do anything, the poaching rate is so high that within just 2 decades, we might not have any more elephants in Africa. We hope that we can push our current technology to identify elephants.